I'm gonna need coffee for this one. In this video, I'm gonna rank every single book I read in 2024. I think it's been like 33 books so far, almost 34. I'm gonna rank them best to worst, 5-star read to a 1-star slash DNF. Let's get right into it. It's been a great reading year so far. Let's start with the beginning, because the beginning started out a little bit rough, I have to say. Babel 17, Samuel R. Delany, was the first book that I read in 2024, and unfortunately, it did not work for me. I previously had read Delany's Empire Star. I read Delany's Empire Star, and I quite liked that book. I thought it was quirky. I thought it was weird. I thought it was really fresh. Babel 17 just kind of went over my head. Now, the only question is it a 3-star read or a 2-star read? I know the book is probably deserving more, but I'm going to put it as a 2-star read just because I didn't enjoy it. It confused me, and not in a good way, unfortunately. So, anyway, let's continue. Babel 17, I'll have to get back to it. And if you're a fan of it, please do not hate me in the comments, because it's me. It's not the book. It was me. It was just not a good time to read that book. Next book that I read was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Well, the planet maybe wasn't all that angry, but it was a fun way to get to it. It was an easy read. Becky Chambers is not gonna challenge you tremendously, but it was well written. The aliens were interesting. The found family vibes were fun. Just a good, easy to read book. I think excellent for those who are new to the genre as well. And then I wanted to read Fall of Hyperion. To do that, I decided to reread one of my all-time favorites, Dan Simmons' Hyperion, and it's still held up. Maybe I liked it even more on a reread. It was incredible. Goes right up to the 5-star category. Canterbury style tale of pilgrims to a planet of Hyperion. Mind-blowing science fiction at its best. This book is definitely going to be in that video that I keep promising, my all-time favorite science fiction books. It's gonna be in the top 3 for sure. I'm gonna do that video, maybe a top 10, top 15, top 20, but Hyperion is going to be there. Such an amazing book, beautifully written, well told, characters that pop off the page, and the storyline is propulsive, and the ideas are tremendous. So it's the whole package. A lot of times in science fiction books, the character development may be missing. Not with Dan Simmons. And Fall of Hyperion, to many, is not nearly as good as the original, as the Hyperion. To me, it was exactly the sequel that I was looking for. Of course, it drops that Canterbury style, that framed narrative. I expected it to, but it tells the story of what happens to these pilgrims beautifully. It's interesting, it's fascinating, the world expands, and I loved it. It's a 5-star read for me, for sure. But it's gonna be slotted below Hyperion on this list. Better, simpler strategy. That's something that I read for work. We'll just quickly throw it in a 3-star read. It was good for what it was. But nothing that I really want to talk about here. Ocean at the End of the Lane, on the other hand, by Neil Gaiman, was fabulous. That's the next book I read. Now we're into March, and now we're into February. Of course, Neil Gaiman is having some personal troubles right now. I haven't read much about it. I don't know much about it, but Ocean at the End of the Lane was really good. I would put it as a 3-star read, probably ahead of A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Let's just drop it right there. Neil Gaiman has this way of writing that is magical in everything he does. It's special. It's his own secret sauce. Martha Wells has a bit of that secret sauce as well with Rogue Protocol Book 3 and The Murderbot. I think it's better than Book 1 or 2. These are short books. They're fun books. I read them because I like Murderbot himself. I don't know, itself, I guess itself. Fantastic, fun. And Rogue Protocol was good. I would put it maybe between Ocean at the End of the Lane and Small Angry Planet. This is working very slowly. Let's see if this allows me to do it. Yeah, right there. Let's put it right there. Now, the next book that I read was Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor. Ray Naylor, of course, made a big splash with Mountain in the Sea, which I thought was good but not great. The Tusks of Extinction is a much shorter read, but I think it's even better in some ways. It's just the essence of what was interesting in The Mountain and the Sea is in the Tusks of Extinction. Much tighter book for me. I really enjoyed it. I mean, just quickly, we've brought back mammoths through DNA, and these mammoths are now roaming the Siberian tundra again. However, they need some help to survive, and the mind of a scientist is implanted into one of these mammoths. This was a scientist who was studying her whole life. She was studying elephants, close cousins, of course, to the mammoth. And the story is really interesting. It was really good. I think I would put it as a 4-star read, the first one in that 4-star read category. Really good short book. I recommend you pick it up. Now, Ice by Anna Kavan was a challenging read, but when I finished the book, I definitely had the thoughts along the line, what did I just read? But also, it was wow, what did I just read? This was unique. It felt experimental at times, stream of consciousness. I was questioning my own lucidity reading this book, but Anna Kavan did something with this story. It's not for everyone. There's a lot of stuff that's difficult to read, but I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Ice, and I recommend you check it out. Now, I mentioned that Ice was a difficult read. The Road was probably as tough a book as I read this year to get through. There were a couple of others that can definitely make this list, but the bleakness, the nihilistic quality of The Road, McCarthy's prose on top of that, just makes this book a standout. This was incredible. The Road was a fantastic read, a fantastic book. It's a 5-star for sure. I haven't watched the movie, but the book is beautiful. I'm going to put it between Hyperion and Fall of Hyperion. We got to split those two up. Let's not let him get too cozy. McCarthy definitely deserves his spot. I'm glad that I've discovered McCarthy, because this is the first year that I've been reading McCarthy, and everything that I've read by him so far has been fabulous. So I'm happy to put The Road as a 5-star read. Next book, now we're going into March. Guards was a fun read, 3-star easy. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it was awesome. It was a lot of fun to read. It's a fantasy, the world, Discworld, and this was my introduction to the Discworld, and I am going to continue, and I'm looking to be in that space, kind of get away from science fiction, read something funny, read something light, witty, fantastic. Guards. Terry Pratchett, his prose really appealed to me with this entry. Now, Vanished Birds, on the other hand, completely different than Guards, a lot more serious. Simon Jimenez, I think an author to really look out for. For that reason, I'm going to put him in the 5-star category. Vanished Birds was really good. Not the whole book, not every single thing in the book worked for me, but overall, in its totality, considering that this is his debut, very much a fantastic read, very much a promising author, and I think ambitious is the best way to put it. Proper science fiction also, for those who are wondering, in my opinion, maybe on the more literary side of science fiction, but still proper science fiction with lots of interesting ideas, maybe not new ideas, but presented slightly in a different way. And the writing is really good. The prose is really good. He's got chops, Simon Jimenez does, for sure. And I'm looking forward to reading more, hopefully in science fiction. I know he's written a fantasy book as well. Now, the next one on the list, we're still in March, Maze of Death by Philip K. Dick. This was a reread for me. Such a fun book. I love Philip K. Dick. Every single book that I read by him is a winner, and so is A Maze of Death. 4-star, 5-star, I don't know. Maybe it's at top of 4-star. Maybe it's on the bottom of 5-star. Gosh, I don't know where to put it. I'll put it at top of the 4-star reads for now. I may have to think about it as other books come in, but it was fantastic. Interesting take on religion, just a typical PKD craziness happens in the book. Stanisław Lem, perhaps as an author, my favorite science fiction author, Stanisław Lem of the Solaris fame, Futurological Congress. I read this, I think, because I spoke about this book with Jonathan from Words in Time. Yeah, Futurological Congress is a trip. This is as close to PKD you can get without being Philip K. Dick. And maybe Stanisław Lem even outdoes PKD with this book. I'll put it right next to PKD. They could flip easily. But let's give Stanisław Lem some props for this one. Now, to be thought, if fortunate, by Are we into April? No, we're still in March. March was a good month. To be taught, if fortunate, by Becky Chambers, was a book that I enjoyed. A little bit more serious than Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Well written. I think a better book overall. I liked it more. This could be top of the three, bottom of four. Either way, I guess it doesn't matter. Let's put it bottom of four, if we can. Interesting book. Now, A Time of Changes by Robert Silverberg. Here is a 5-star read that I really enjoyed. Surprised me, Robert Silverberg did with this entry. I have not read his works previously, and this was a revelation. I would put Time of Changes ahead of Anna Kavan's Ice. Certainly it deserves to be closer to the top. It was a fantastic read. Very interesting character study as well. Robert Silverberg, A Time of Changes. I need to read more from Silverberg. That was awesome. Now we're getting to Stephen King. And guess what? The Gunslinger is a book that I read many years ago, and I didn't like it. I don't think I finished it, and I never continued with The Dark Tower. But I have been hearing, of course, about Dark Tower, and I decided to go back and give it another shot. And I decided that no matter what, I'm going to read Gunslinger, and I'm going to continue on. So I read Gunslinger, and I liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I didn't love it, but it was good entry into that Dark Tower world, and it made me want to keep reading. So I would put Gunslinger probably on top of the 3-star category here. Let's drop Gunslinger right there. And I have to say, now that I've read many more books in the Dark Tower, Gunslinger has risen in my estimation of its quality and why it is what it is. It's good. Like, the Dark Tower is amazing, and if you're gonna pick up Gunslinger, do not stop if you don't love the Dark Tower after book 1. You have to continue. Yeah. Anyway. After Gunslinger, I took a break. I didn't go right into Drawing of the Three, which is book 2 in the Dark Tower. I read All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy, and it was another 5-star read. Just like The Road, it was incredible. Such a good story, so beautifully written. A different type of book for McCarthy, completely a different reading experience than The Road, but just gorgeous, just beautiful stuff, beautiful writing. It's a Western. It takes place in the 1950s in Mexico, northern Mexico, South Texas. Fantastic story, love story, story of a place, story of a time, written in a way that only Cormac McCarthy can. I really enjoyed it. I would put it in front of Ice and next to Silverberg. I don't know if I would put it ahead of Silverberg, or doesn't really matter on that end, but I definitely want it ahead of Ice if this decides to cooperate. Anyway, let's leave it there for now. Let's see what happens. So yeah, but Cormac McCarthy was really a surprise, a revelation this year for me. There's going to be one more Cormac McCarthy coming up as I talk about my best reads of the year. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. If you love McCarthy, what's your favorite McCarthy book? Now, let's get back to Stephen King, though. Stephen King, I've read so much by Stephen King, and I'm so happy that this year I got into The Dark Tower. But it really started for me with The Drawing of the Three. That book was like a mic drop. Stephen King did it again, blew my mind, incredible characters, fabulous story. By book 2, I was fully invested, and I knew I was going to love The Dark Tower, as I do. So now, where do I put The Drawing of the Three? I think The Drawing of the Three's got to go pretty high. I mean, I enjoyed it so much, and it really, yeah, let's just put it right after Fall of Hyperion, or would it put it before Fall of Hyperion? I don't know. That's a conundrum. That's difficult to know. Maybe I'll put it even in front of Fall of Hyperion. Yeah, let's do it this way. Drawing of the Three was fabulous. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, Inverted World by Christopher Priest. This was a book that I read with Robin from Bookspin. We did a buddy read. We had a great time. This was a great book to do a buddy read on. It's a 5-star read. The only question is, where do I put it? I mean, these books are so good, it really doesn't matter. I think I'll put it ahead of A Time of Changes, right below Fall of Hyperion, just because it was such a fun reading experience doing it with Robin. We had a great time talking about this book, trying to figure out what's going on. Such a great world, quick, propulsive read, well written, just perfection. I like the twist ending. Some people do not. Read it, let me know your thoughts. And then book 3, In the Dark Tower, The Wastelands came in, and it was another punch. I didn't like it as much as Drawing of the Three, probably, but there are some things that I loved about it more than Drawing of the Three. A lot more science fiction elements also in this one, for sure, from the beginning, really. Till the end, sci-fi heavy. Where does this one go? Oh gosh, let's put it behind All the Pretty Horses, ahead of Ice. 5 stars for sure. What month are we in with this? We've been in April. But now we're gonna go into May with The World for Word is Forest by Ursula K. Le Guin. What can I say? Le Guin is awesome. Left Hand of Darkness, Dispossessed, The Late of Heaven, all amazing 5-star reads. The World for Word of the World. This is a tough one to pronounce. The Word for World is Forest. I think it's a 4-star read. It was solid. It was beautiful. It was interesting. I would put it right next to Futurological Congress, Maze of Death, somewhere here. Doesn't matter where it drops. It's good. Ursula K. Le Guin is incredible. Her ideas and the way she can present them in such a concise, such an easy to digest way is really impressive. So World for Word, all right, that book was a lot of fun to read. It was also inspiration for Avatar, and you can see the similarities for sure, even though completely different story. So we're in May, and the next book that I read was Wizard and Glass, book 4 in the Dark Tower. And oh boy, if I thought Drawing of the Three was good, this was great. It is a book that not everybody likes because it kind of stops the plot progression of the main storyline and gives us kind of a backstory of our gunslinger. But what a story it is. Just an incredible book. I think it's my favorite so far in the Dark Tower. So it's going to go ahead of the Drawing of the Three. It has to be ahead of Fall of Hyperion and Inverted World. Would it be ahead of The Road as far as enjoyment? For sure. As far as how profound a read The Road was, maybe I'll keep it. Oh God, I don't know if I'm just going based on enjoyment and engagement. I think I was engaged tremendously with The Road and Wizard in Glass, but maybe enjoyment. On the enjoyment side, I should put Wizard and Glass ahead of The Road. Why not? Why not? Who's going to stop me, right? Let's do it. What's next? What do we have next? The Wall. Now, here's an interesting book, The Wall. The Wall was a book that I started reading, and I did not finish it. So it's got to go in the did not finish category. But I did not finish it, not because I hated the book. I don't know what's going on here. I did not finish it just because it was the wrong book at the wrong time. It wasn't bad. And I do want to go back to it at some point. It's a dystopian kind of a future. The world disappears. One person is inside this bubble in the mountains in Austria, I believe, or Switzerland, I forget. But I was just not connecting. I was not enjoying it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I did not finish it. It didn't work for me, but it's not a bad book. It's not a bad book, and I definitely want to read it at some point. The next book that's definitely not a bad book is Way Station by Clifford D. Simak. Where does this go? I think it's going to go top of 3 or bottom of 4. Let's go bottom of 4, actually. Next to Be Thought If Fortunate. Maybe it should be ahead of it even. I think I'll do that. I'll put it ahead of it. Clifford D. Simak, The City was really good. Way Station was interesting. I thought for someone it's going to be just better. But it was good. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Simak is good. It's been an incredible year. I think most years this book would be a little bit higher, but I'm comparing to what else I've read. Okay, let's continue. Clara in the Sun. Oh boy, here's a book that the more time passes, the more I enjoy it. I read Clara in June. I read it with Jonathan from Words in Time and Robin from Bookspin. We did a body read. We did a video on it on Jonathan's channel. And while I was reading it, I liked it. Now I'm loving it. I don't know what it is about this book, but I can't forget about it. It's a book that keeps coming back. Kazuo Ishiguro has that power. Nobel winner, fantastic author. I really like Clara in the Sun. The protagonist, Clara, artificial friend. Incredible story. So where do I go with? I mean, it's definitely either top of 4 or bottom of 5. Let's just put it bottom of 5, maybe even ahead of Vanish Birds and Ice, because I definitely liked it more than those two books as far as enjoyment of it. A fantastic story. I really recommend you read Clara and the Sun if you haven't. Let me know your thoughts on it if you have. Now, Lem with Invincible. Here's another one that's a little tough to judge. This could be bottom of 5, top of 4. I think I'll go bottom of 5 with Invincible. If you read Futurological Congress and then Invincible back to back, you'll think these were two different authors. Stanisław Lem, has such great range. These books are completely different. The Invincible, a lot more serious of a book, but they both have a great message, I think, and a lot there to extract from these stories. Invincible is also a very interesting, I read, game. I don't play many games, but Invincible was made into a popular game. And then Never Let Me Go, Kazuo Ishiguro. Because I loved Clara and the Sun and couldn't stop thinking about it, I read Never Let Me Go, which is another one of Kazuo Ishiguro's science fiction stories. I read this when I guess it was in July that I read Never Let Me Go, and I really liked it. I did not like it as much as Clara and the Sun. I think I would put it maybe just like right there, a 4-star read among these books. It was good. It was good. I think it's a more serious, maybe it's a better book than Clara and the Sun. I just wasn't connected with the characters as much. But interesting book. Don't read anything about it if you're going to read it. Just go right into it. Try to figure out what is going on in that world. Fabulous. Ishiguro is a great author. I want to continue reading his stuff. The next book that I read, Salem's Lot. I read this one because this is the book that you're supposed to read in between Wizard and Glass and book 5. So I did, and I really enjoyed Salem's Lot. It's a 4-star read. Where does it go? I don't know. Probably the top of, really, maybe even, maybe not. Let's put it next to Ishiguro. I mean, they're completely different books, so it's so difficult to compare them. But as far as enjoyment, I got through this one very, very quickly, and I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did because in the next book, in book 5, Walls of the Kala, the one of the protagonist from Salem's Lot has a huge part in that book, and I was so glad to read that, and then Walls of the Kala afterwards. But before I get to Walls of the Kala, Alistair Reynolds with Revelation Space. Now, Alistair Reynolds is one of my favorite science fiction authors because of House of Suns being one of my favorite books. I think it would make the top 3, perhaps. I'd have to think about it. With Hyperion and House of Suns was incredible. I'd love to reread it. It's been a few years since I read House of Suns. I think it's time to get back to it at some point. But Revelation Space was really good. Not as good as House of Suns, in my opinion, but really good. I think top of 4 for sure. It's gonna go right there. I said top of 4. All right, doesn't want to do it. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Alistair Reynolds can take a backseat to Ursula K. Le Guin. No problem. I don't think he would mind. Let's continue. This is going to be a long video unless I speed things up. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. What can I say? Toni Morrison, her book Beloved is perhaps my favorite book of all time. It's not, of course, a science fiction story. It's a story of post-slavery story that is just so touching, so beautifully written, so incredible. Yeah, I needed to read more from Morrison. And The Bluest Eye is the first novel that I've read, that she wrote. It's her debut, and it's beautiful. It's incredible. Not as good as Beloved, but still, it's a 5-star read all the way. Challenging, difficult. If you do not want to be depressed and challenged by the content, do not pick up The Bluest Eye. But I thought it was incredible. Where does it go? I mean, it's a completely different book than a lot of these science fiction stories, so it's difficult to even rank. But I will put it ahead of Fall of Hyperion for the purposes of this list. Toni Morrison was incredible. Speaking of incredible, we're back talking about Cormac McCarthy with Sunset Limited, The Sunset Limited, which is a play, essentially. 2 people in it talking, a conversation between these 2 people, and it's beautiful, and it's fantastic. Black and white, different perspectives on the world, nihilistic at its core. I think top of 4 makes perfect sense for this one. It was a book that I started reading, and I finished it. It's short, it's a play, it's a quick read. I recommend it. It's Cormac McCarthy, again, at his best. One of my favorite authors, for sure. Wolves of the Kala, I just read. And I was afraid that it's going to be a little bit of a step down. I think I've heard maybe from people that it's not as good as maybe some of the other entries. Forget about it. It was amazing. Forget about it. Wolves of the Kala, fast-paced to me. Well, maybe the beginning was a little slow, but otherwise, fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It's a 5-star read. Where does it go? I don't know. Maybe I'll put it, well, let's see if I can even get it to the 5. It's not going to go on the bottom of 5 stars. No. Stephen King deserves so much more than that with the Wolves of the Kala, but I guess we're having some slowdowns here. Wolves of the Kala, 5-star read. I would probably put it ahead of Ice, if that is possible. And yeah, so 33 books. 33 books. I loved all of them for different reasons. Even the one that I didn't love, which was Babel 17, I knew that there's more there. It's just, it wasn't the right time for me. But otherwise, just about every single book was good, was great, was incredible. Let me know what your thoughts on some of these books are. Let me know if you've read some of them. What are your favorite books so far this year? I'd love to hear from you on that as well. Give a like, subscribe if you haven't. And yes, it's been a great reading year for me. And right now I'm reading The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey, of course, of The Expanse fame. And I like it. In the beginning, I hated it. I thought at first maybe around 100 pages, I thought the book was bad. I thought, I might not even finish this. Now it's good. It's not great yet, but it's starting to redeem itself. Things are coming together. But the beginning, I think, and I still think, even though I like the book now, I still think the beginning is off, in my opinion. The characters are flat. The story is kind of winding for no reason. It's not really going anywhere until something happens, and then things do pick up. And then things do pick up, and the book is good, like I said. So, Mercy of Gods, I'm not finished. I'm about 2/3 through it, and I'm hoping it kind of, keeps getting better and better, and then it'll probably be like a 4-star read. For me, probably not a 5-star because of the beginning. So anyway, that's where I am. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.